That's right, it's spooky season, so I'm scaring you today. But since Halloween's coming up, I thought I'd do a video talking about Halloween costumes, and not everyone wants to be a scary monster for Halloween. Some of y'all want to dress in an aesthetic costume. So today we're going to be talking about some aesthetic Halloween costumes that you can try to do this year. I know Halloween's kind of coming up pretty soon, so I think most of these are pretty easy to do and DIY yourself. Some of them might be a little more complex, but I just want to throw out some really cool costume ideas that I had. I'm calling them unique aesthetic Halloween costumes, but by unique, I don't necessarily mean they've never been done before. I'm sure some of them have been done before, so don't be in my comments all like,
I've seen this costume before, it's not unique.
It's just costumes that I think you may not have thought of already. So very excited to cover this topic. I love Halloween and dressing up, so I have like a running list of costume ideas on my phone, and I'm excited to share these with you today. But before we get started, don't forget to like and comment if you do like this video. Subscribe if you aren't already, and let me know what videos you want to see in the future. And you can also join my Discord server, which will be linked down below, and we can talk about anything and everything fashion and aesthetics on there, so I definitely recommend checking it out. It's really cool to have a little community to be able to talk to, ask for advice or give advice, or to just get excited about new aesthetics with. So again, that'll be linked down below. Check it out if you're interested, and let's jump right into this video. For my last Halloween video, I organized it into like different aesthetics and costumes for each aesthetic, but this time I'm just going to have like a running list of like generally aesthetic costume ideas, and you can kind of take it and make it your own. But I definitely recommend checking out that last video as well, because I still think a lot of those ideas are really cool. But first of all, you can be a clown, but not just any clown, like a vintage clown, Pierrot clown style. And I think this is really unique because you typically see like Pennywise kind of clown, which is cool in itself, but if you want a more aesthetic version, a vintage clown is a really good option. And vintage versions of any costume in general would be really cool, like a vintage witch costume, a vintage astronaut costume. It's just kind of a different vibe, like a really cool retro vibe rather than the typical witch costume you'd see today. And perfectly fitting for the fall spooky season, you could also be an Over the Garden Wall character. If you haven't watched Over the Garden Wall already, it's such a good little animated series, and it's so like cozy fall Halloween vibes. It's so cute, so I definitely recommend checking it out. And I think a lot of these costumes would be pretty aesthetic as well. You could be Greg and Wirt if you have a buddy to go with. You could be Beatrice, the little birdie. You could be one of the pumpkin people. There's just a lot of options for this series. One that I might have mentioned in my last Halloween video is the Hex Girls from Scooby-Doo. So if you have two friends you can go with, I think the Hex Girls is such a cool and iconic look. Definitely very witchcore and also kind of rock star girlfriend aesthetic. You could be a character from The Princess Bride as well. Definitely very aesthetic, very Renaissance, medieval times-ish. You could even wear that costume for the Ren Fair if you want to. That's always an aesthetic option, like Ren Fair style clothing, Ren Fair costumes in general. You could repurpose them for Halloween, and I think that would be a cool look as well. Ghibli characters are another option. Of course, Ghibli movies are always so beautiful and aesthetic. They're always so calming and cozy, and just like the world building of Ghibli movies is amazing. It's just so otherworldly and cozy, yet nostalgic and familiar at the same time. So you can be Hal and Sophie, which definitely kind of gives like dark academia vibes and also witchcore vibes as well, especially for Howl. You could be Princess Mononoke. I think that would be a really cool one, and you don't see as much as the more popular Ghibli movies, or Nausicaa, Calcifer, etc. You could even be one of the more minor characters like Turnip Head from Howl's Moving Castle, or the Wicked Witch of the Waste. Just try to be creative with it. You don't have to be like the main character either. Video game characters could be cool as well. You could be like the little girl from Little Nightmares. You could be the couple from It Takes Two. There's a lot of options for the video games. I don't play too many games, so that's all I could think of right now, but there's a lot of cool aesthetic options there as well. Avatar: The Last Airbender, of course, has a lot of really cool aesthetic options. Like, I specifically would love to be one of the like spirits, like the Painted Lady, or like Princess Yue would be a really pretty one. I think there's a lot of cool aesthetic ones. Or you could be like Zuko with the blue dragon spirit mask. I think that would be really cool too. Ballet core is super popular right now, so you could also be like a popular ballet, like Swan Lake is a typical one that I see a lot, but you can think of like other ballets that you like and try to dress as a character from one of those. Or musicals, if I had a friend that loves Wicked as much as I do, I would love to be Glinda the Good Witch and Elphaba. Phantom of the Opera would be really cool too. Maybe I could convince my fiance to be the Phantom and I can be, what's her name? Phantom of the Opera. Why am I blanking out right now? Christine, that's all I ask of you. Okay, Christine. Phantom and Christine, I think that would be really cool. Like, her dress would be so pretty to wear. I would love to wear a dress like that. Another option is a historically accurate Disney princess. So I know we see a lot of Disney princess costumes, but you could try to be like a more historically accurate one, and that would be really cool and aesthetic. And or Disney princess too. Or even like a minor character from a Disney movie, like that candle guy from Beauty and the Beast. I'm really not remembering character names right now. But yeah, the candle guy and his little feather duster girl. Movie villains are cool too. I think those are probably done a lot, but like I still love seeing them, like Cruella de Vil or Maleficent. Those would be really cool costumes too. You could be a Monster High doll. I'm sure we'll see a lot of Barbies this year, but a Monster High doll would be really cool too. I love Monster High dolls because I just love like fantasy mythical creatures. Even though Monster High is a little bit past my childhood, I still think they're really cool. So that would be a really cool costume too. You could take an album cover and make it into a costume. So whatever your favorite musical album is, you could try to turn that into a costume or dress as the person in the album cover. You could be an insect like a moth. I think moths are super cool and really pretty costumes. So that would be a really cool one too. I've seen people be mushrooms as well. That's definitely a more popular idea, but it's still a really cool one. Definitely very fitting for fairycore. You could also be like a dandelion or any kind of flower, your favorite kind of flower. Horror movie characters are always really cool. If you want to be something a little bit creepier, some aesthetic ones I could think of would be like Carrie, Coraline, maybe Midsommar. That's definitely one that I want to do in the future. It's one of my favorite horror movies, so I really like that one. But there's plenty of options for horror movie characters. Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann version, would be a really cool costume too. I think Juliet with the little angel wings and Romeo in the night costume is a classic. You can go for that for an aesthetic couple costume. Nostalgic movies in general, so just try to think of movies from your childhood and you could dress up as characters from there. The Winx Club fairies is one that I would love to do if I had more friends who had watched the Winx Club as a kid. I always loved Musa, the musical fairy. She was my favorite. And that's definitely a really good one for fairycore and also just kind of like the Y2K aesthetic in general. If you're an art buff, you can be an art piece like the Mona Lisa or that famous Kiss painting, the girl with the pearl earring, any of your favorite art pieces you can dress up as. I think that's a really cool one, definitely very fitting for like dark academia, the art hoe aesthetic, anything like that. It can definitely be a really unique one, especially if you're picking like an art piece that is a little bit more niche. You could be the witches from Hocus Pocus, definitely very witch core and definitely very fitting for Halloween. You can also be Strawberry Shortcake and her friends. I think that one would be really cute as well for a group of friends. Tim Burton characters, also really cool. Maybe not the most unique, it's definitely very popular, but still very cool and aesthetic. And finally, you can be like any fantasy character. I know it's not the most unique idea, but like a mermaid or pirate or a fairy, vampire, anything like that. But you can definitely like make it your own because it's just so vague. You can even like mix them together and just try to come up with your own unique costume. You can also do like a vintage version of it, like I mentioned earlier. A vintage version of any of these costumes would be really cool. There's just a lot you can do with these ideas, so just try to be creative. And that's pretty much all I can think of, but again, I talked about a lot of other ideas that I had in my previous Halloween video, so I didn't want to repeat too much. So if you want more ideas, definitely check that video out. I still think it was a good video and had a lot of really good ideas that you can use this year as well. So I definitely recommend checking out that video as well if you didn't like any of the ideas in this video, but I hope you did. And if you did like these ideas, again, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what's your favorite costume or if you have any other ideas that I missed. And if you're curious, this year me and my fiance are going as Isma and Kronk from the Emperor's New Groove, so I think that's going to be a really fun one and definitely very nostalgic because it was like a classic movie from our childhood. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. below and let me know what videos you want to see in the future. Like, subscribe, comments, join my Discord server, follow me on Instagram and on TikTok for even more content on fashion and aesthetics, and I'll see you guys next time.